Hey guys, there's a video I've been meaning to do for a while now. Way back when we first got the trailer, we took up the subfloor and we decided to redo all the screws and put down some liquid nails just to make it good and sturdy. And there was a video I shot back then that I've been kind of procrastinating getting to. It was of how the factory chose to weld the frame together on this. And so since it's a nice, beautiful, sunny day, I figured we'd take just a couple of minutes and just kind of show you a few of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we did to fix that problem. I'll go ahead and, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and insert that video from a couple of months ago when we were doing the subfloor, so you guys can see what we started with, and then I'm going to crawl up underneath the trailer here and show you what we did to fix the problem and a couple of little extra things we did that I think will be worth it in the long run. Tremendous amount of work went into making this thing rock solid, and I think it was a worthwhile investment. Okay, so this next little clip will be the video that I shot a couple months ago back when we were doing the floor. My last piece up here up front, and that's where the trailer hitch starts getting welded in. And at first glance it looks like it's really well welded in. Lots of cross bracing, looks great. But then I got a little closer and I realized, like, I don't know if you can see this, but they really only just barely welded just the tips. I mean, just barely welded the tips together and didn't even, well, I mean, I don't know, is that, all of them are like that, just barely got the tip welded. Is that normal? Like, I mean, I guess it's like, you know, a couple inches thick, so I guess it's pretty stout, but it seemed like wouldn't take much to make that a little bit sturdier, don't you think? I don't know. I don't know anything about welding, so I honestly have no clue if that's perfectly fine or if maybe just a little, I don't know, something. Make that a little bit sturdier. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Man, it would have been a whole lot easier if I had shot this video when the floor was still off, but oh well. So I'll show you these little cross braces first. These were the two cross braces that were just tacked on just barely in the corner. And now, as you can see, what we did was we cut the proper angle so that they would sit perfectly flush against that V-shaped cross bracing there. And so then we welded the whole side, which is all there was on the other one, and then we also welded the top and the other side. So it's now welded on three sides, and we didn't weld the bottom because my friend Daniel was doing all the welding, and that's nasty to be welding upside down, lying underneath something and welding it, and all the hot sparks and slag are just flying all over you and catching your clothes on fire. It's not fun. So we didn't do that. We didn't weld the bottom, but it's welded on three sides now, and it's actually sitting flush against the frame. So, man, just tremendously so much better than the way it was before. And same thing over here. You can see here where the main frame, this big that goes out to the trailer hitch, it used to just be welded here on the corner. And then there's another little piece that was like going this way, and it was just tack welded in the corners too. So now what we've done is same thing. We cut a piece, the same piece of metal, we took it off and we cut it to the correct angle. So now it sits flush. We welded the whole seam this way, the seam across the top, and the seam between this piece and the frame, the whole length of it on the top. So, oh man, just absolutely couldn't say enough about it. I meant to say too, when these things were the way they were at first, when we went to take them off so we could cut the proper angle, we were wondering how hard it would be to get them off of there. I stood on this thing like a snowboard, like my feet were perpendicular, and I just rocked my toes down on this outside edge where it was only welded on just one corner. I literally just pressed my toes down and just snapped this thing right off. Like it took no effort whatsoever. Of course, I mean, I am a big guy, I'm like 285 pounds, so I guess it wasn't like completely effortless. But if you're a fat guy, it was completely effortless to just snap this right off of there. But these cross braces are going to be carrying a lot of weight, and they're an important structural component. So I am very glad that we did what we did. Moving along, this is the simpler of the two designs that we did. We got some really super thick steel plate and cut it to the width that it would just perfectly fit the scissor jacks, and we welded it in place, connecting the frame and this other part of the frame that goes out to the jack. So we figured that was the most sturdy place to put it, and we strategically positioned it to where this would just be hanging out just a little bit past the edge of the trailer, so make it easy for people to raise and lower it. So a lot of work went into making this, but now we can just bolt and unbolt like normal. It's rock solid. When we did the axle flip kit, I do not recommend this. Disclaimer, I do not recommend it, but when we were doing the axle flip kit, we used these 4 scissor jacks, which are rated for 5,000 pounds each, and we literally just lifted this entire trailer up off the ground and had it about 2.5 feet in the air or 3 feet in the air while we were doing the axle work on the axle. So that plate is perfectly, it's overkill for what scissor jacks are intended for. These are intended just to put them down, make contact with the ground, snug them up a little bit, and it just prevents the trailer from rocking back and forth while you're walking around in there. So it's not intended to lift the thing off the ground, but we did. And it worked just fine. So it just kind of shows we definitely went for overkill with this, but it was a little bit extra work right up front, but I think it'll make it really nice to be able to just pull some bolts and replace these in the future if we need to replace these scissor jacks. They don't last forever. It'll make our life down the road a whole lot easier. So let me go ahead and slide to the back. I'll show you what we did in the back. All right, so we did a couple of things in the back. First of all, one of the big additions we made was that we put in a trailer hitch. Now Daniel did a beautiful job throwing some welds in that. Super happy with how he did it. I'll crawl up under here and show you a little bit. So, sorry, this is the flip kit, the hitch kit that we bought. I don't know if you can see down there, it's supposed to be just secured in with bolts, but we decided to go ahead and just weld that plate directly to the frame at both ends. So I can see it here a little better. Yeah, there you go. Instead of just using a couple of bolts to hold that in, because the frame is an enclosed steel tube, if we had run bolts through it, I don't know what we would have had to like cut a hole in the bottom to be able to put a wrench and a nut up in there. I don't really know how we would have done it because it is an enclosed steel frame, which is a good thing. That's really sturdy, but it would have made putting a bolt through it pretty impossible. So we decided just to go ahead and welded it the whole way around. So this thing is not going anywhere. I honestly, I think this will be just fine for the life of the trailer. I don't think we'll have any issues with not being able to take this off later. I'm okay with that. And then we also, let me swing around here, had to fabricate a much larger steel plate on this side to accommodate the fact that we had to put this on a diagonal. And so what we did was we welded to a cross brace there, which is part of the frame, welded that in, ran a weld the whole way, oh, you can't see my hand, the whole way along this edge. That's all welded up through here to the frame again. And then we put a big thick piece of angle iron on this edge and welded that to the frame, welded that to the plate, and welded it along this inside edge too, the whole way. So inside here, the whole way down is welded. So very, very sturdy, not going anywhere. I don't mind at all that we put a little bit more weight behind the axle, because I'm putting a lot of weight up front, so I think it'll be all right. But incredibly sturdy. Again, we had the entire trailer up off the ground based on these, but at least now I can get to these bolts. I can reach up in here with a wrench, and in the future, if we ever need to, if and when, I'm sure when, we need to swap these jacks out, it'll be a whole lot easier just to take a few bolts out, swap these out, and just go from there. And maybe get some shorter bolts too. Those are really long. I don't know why we put those long ones on there, but either way, absolutely super happy with how it turned out. It was a lot of work, a lot of fabrication, a lot of welding. I really owe Daniel tremendously for helping me with all this. Ain't no telling how much welding supplies we went through on all this, but I feel like that amount of work we did up front will really pay off in the long run. Having a nice sturdy place to put these scissor jacks on, having this tow hitch here in the front, I feel like this is all a worthwhile investment. Do it right in the beginning, and then this is going to last the whole life of the trailer. There's no doubt in my mind this will last the life of the trailer, which I hope will be a very, very long time. And there's our axle flip kit again. I'm now filming completely upside down. This is probably not going to get me any Grammy nominations for. So anyway, just to kind of wrap things up, I definitely, there's some parts of this build that I've been able to do a little bit on my own. There's been parts when I needed some help. The welding, I couldn't have done any of that. I'm not a welder. I have no clue what I'm doing. I would probably immediately set myself on fire and or kill myself. So that was 100% Daniel, and I really appreciate him for it. I appreciate all the people who have kind of come together to help me with this project so far, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I think it's going to be really amazing. All right, more updates to come. Thanks, guys.
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said.